Hello and welcome to another Europa Universalis 5 video. We're going to be looking today at the latest Tinto talk, which is going over some of the changes that have come through the beta. The beta itself is coming out of beta and becoming the live version tomorrow, and also where they are looking to go in the future. Now, I made a video yesterday which was incredibly laggy, slideshowy. Unfortunately, recording while having EU5 open in multiplayer with someone hot joining or somebody joining the lobby makes my PC really scream and cry and hurt. So unfortunately, that is the reason for that. Hopefully that won't happen again. I just thought, I'll clip a little bit of the stream and put it on the YouTubes, and it wasn't a good idea. Also, I have a new microphone. I don't know how much you can tell. Let me know your thoughts. If it's better, if it's worse, I would appreciate the feedback there. But anyway, let's get into the 1.3 feature. If you want to have a look at the video that Midgeman has done breaking down the various changes, it's about 11 minutes long, and it's worth a watch. I recommend it. I like Midgeman. He's cool. But anyway, Ryaki giving us a little bit of a breakdown. Let's just have a look and see at what's going on. So one of the things they changed during the beta process itself was institution spread. So he wants to touch on that quickly to catch everyone up to speed. There was a lot of feedback, and the previous version of institutions, foster institutions, was changed. Sorry, they changed foster institutions to accelerate spread instead of bootstrapping. This isn't how it worked before. How it worked before should tell me what it was. This is what it was, but for people who don't know what bootstrapping is, which probably included me until about 10 minutes ago, basically the foster institutions is a cabinet action which gave you a base amount of growth of an institution, even if there was nothing going on with that institution in your country or in your market or in your area, right? If you didn't have meritocracy yet, if you got this advance, then you could start growing it. Now it just accelerates the speed. So if you don't have any base amount of growth, 100% of 0 is still 0, plus 100% again, it's still 0. You don't have any base growth, you don't get any. They added a game rule to lock institution could have spawn spread. I don't like this. And for all the people who are commenting, and I've had it in a couple of videos now, saying institution spread is completely broken, this is the reason. The default option now is that you don't get institution spread in a place that could have spawned the institution. What that means by basically institution spawn has a bunch of prerequisites, be over 20 offensive value, have a city with this amount of pops in it, all of that kind of stuff. There are multiple cities in the world that would qualify for these prerequisites. Only one can spawn it. If you could have been one of them that spawned it, if you fulfilled all those prerequisites, you would get a base growth amount, some bootstrapping in that location. That is now no longer the case, and I think that's a terrible idea, and I'm going to be changing it in every one of my games. I really don't like this. I think the new default option is worse than what it was before. I don't know why it was changed. But anyway, that is the reason. If you are complaining about institution growth being broken, that is probably a big part of the reason. Institution spread through trade now favors markets closely connected to the embraced world rather than plugging into large or distant trade networks. Market doing most of its trade with nearby institution carriers spreads faster than one with a thin trickle from a far-off giant market. Fair enough. Yep. This was basically to stop people Korea, let's be honest, from doing random tiny little trades, going all the way around to Europe and getting the institution that way was weird, and they didn't like it, and that's why that's changed, I think. After implementing the changes, many beta participants found institutions did not spread in a satisfactory way. So there are more changes. Institutions now spread from the birth location to the market center at a base rate of plus 1% each month. That means that if you have a situation where the institution has spawned in somebody who doesn't have a market center, which is, the institution spread goes from market center to market center. If you are somewhere that is not a market center, it's very difficult to say get the Renaissance if it spawns in Milan, because it would then have to slowly dribble down to Genoa or over to Venice and then start spreading around. Now it's going to grow 1% a month in Genoa if Milan is a part of the Genoese market, which is almost always the case unless you're playing as Venice, then you can force it to be in your market. It's quite nice when you do that. But that's really going to help these, I think probably mostly the early institutions, but it's going to help all of them really. Increase the friendly neighbor institution spread rate by that amount. Doubling it in some cases, tripling it, quadrupling it. Basically, this is if you're friendly with somebody who has a border with you, it's going to grow faster in you. It's just going to make spreading faster. And then they changed it so that when you turn back on the original version of institution could have spawned conditions, you can once again get achievements. Good, because this is bad, and I will turn it off, and I still want achievements. So nice. Performance. One of the goals they set out for in 1.3 is to improve the tick speed, and the results based on testing are lower. No, seconds per year. Lower is better. Closer to the bottom is better. So yeah, it seems like there is been a big improvement. I wonder what happens in 1600 that makes everything go fucky. I don't know. And then, yeah, okay, fair enough. Gets better. It's getting better. 1.3 was there, and then 1.3.1. I do remember 1.3.0 being quite bad for me. But yeah, you can see 1.3.0 starts off being slower than 1.2.5, and then at around about 1380 it becomes faster again. So interesting. But yeah, now it seems like we are getting better again. Okay. Quite nice. As you can see from the graph, 1.3 does make consistent improvement compared to 1.2.5. They have a couple of machines running in the latest code each night, after which they store the simulation time data and use it for comparisons. Tick speed and any performance-related topic is very machine-dependent, which is why they also use data from the community to try help determine if true performance improvements are made. In this case, the general cross-platform indications has been it's slightly better, which seems to be in line with our graphs. They're happy. 1.3 is an improvement, but game performance is always a constant effort, and even now they're testing and tweaking performances. Okay. My personal experience has been in some ways it's better, in some ways it's worse. Most of my time on 1.3 has actually been spent with the Faster Universalis mod, so my experience is actually probably way more limited than most. I do find that mod quite difficult to play without now, for a whole host of reasons. But I would say if you're playing EU5 and you are still having trouble with tick speed, honestly, try out the Faster Universalis mod, and you can change the tick rate, basically, how many ticks are in each day. Personally, I quite like 1 tick per day, like we have in EU4, but there are mods that will give you the 1 tick per day up to the 10 ticks per day that is in vanilla. So you've got some options there, and honestly, there's just a lot of other little tweaks and changes that Faster Universalis makes that I quite enjoy. Okay, fair enough. What's on the radar? This is the important stuff. Well, I guess everything's been important so far, but what is coming next? What are they looking at? Before they wrap up the Tinto talk, they want to address some of the currently known issues. It's by no means exhaustive. This is 4 out of thousands. Nor does it touch on specific bugs, rather some of the biggest underlying problems they've not yet solved. So, Merc spam. A lot of people complaining about it. It is rough. So there are too many mercs around. During the beta, they reduced the total amount of mercenaries in the world to less than 10% of what it was before. Now they always reduce pops in the countries they're recruited from. is something they have done that would help with this. The AI has a tendency to hoard gold and spends it all at once on mercs. 1.3 made the AI better at building up their economy. The result of this means mid-game AIs will have more money laying around, which means more mercs. I have an suggestion. And suggestion is mine, right? What about we have a modifier, a limit to the amount of mercenary companies one can recruit. And this number can be, you can have a base number for every country can get this many mercs, maybe 2 merc companies. These numbers are obviously just, pulled out of my ass, so don't worry about them. But if you are, say, a higher kingdom rank, then you can get 1 extra. Various government reforms could have +1 extra. Various privileges could have +1 extra. That kind of thing. Merchant Republic maybe gets +1 merc companies. Then you would stop having the issue of, you've gone to war with the Pope, he's saved up 30,000 gold, and now he has just hired 17 merc companies. Maybe he's limited to 4. Maybe he's limited to 5, something like that. It doesn't eliminate mercs. It doesn't make mercs useless. It just kind of stops the spam. And honestly, I don't know why this isn't a solution that has been tested or thought about. Maybe it has been thought about or tested in behind the scenes. I don't know. But this is the system that was in Imperator Rome. So yeah, other than the fact that Imperator Rome's mercs were like on the map and visible, which personally I didn't like, that kind of limited number of hireables, that was a thing, and maybe it should be a thing again. It could be something that we give a try. I don't know. AI can't differentiate between a war for survival and a war for gains. It goes all out every time, and it includes merc buying. I don't know how you would fix that. Maybe have it based on what war goal, like if it is a humiliate war, or if then they won't try and go all out. I don't know. If it's for somebody else's war, if you're just an ally, would you go all out? I don't know. Something like that. If you're coming from 1.2.5, there should be some noticeable improvements here in the early game particularly. However, they're still not happy with it at the moment, so we'll see where they go from it. They're investigating both short-term and long-term solutions. Thanks for the patience. Over-urbanization and food balance. This one has bugged the crap out of me recently. They've seen good behavior on the AI side of things when it comes to urbanization. When it comes to the player behavior, players are often incentivized to urbanize to excessive degrees. Most of this has to do with the game's food systems. They're making some adjustments coming into 1.4, and they're likely sharing more details on this again in the future, especially as it becomes less work in progress. But in the meantime, some of the intended changes. They want large cities and harsh winters to sharply reduce local food production, and this should scale by settlement size. Pop growth should come from real food surplus rather than hoarded stockpiles. Spare land should not drastically speed pop growth on its own. Food surplus should be the driving factor. And they're adding a village granary, a rural food store building without the need for a town. Okay, I'm going to spam the crap out of these. Yeah, just everywhere I can. Numbers not final, but it's real nice. Confusion around trade automation. Trade bugs me. I don't enjoy interacting with the trade system, and every time they make changes, I'm like, oh, this looks like it's going to go in the right direction. I'm going to start enjoying trade again, and I look at it, and it's just not there yet. It just really isn't. So yeah, we'll see if this fixes it. Trade automation in 1.3 has been a topic players frequently expressed confusion out. Expressed, I should say. When you automate trade, the automation system does a lot of steps to get your economy rolling, such as fulfilling needs. Throughout this constant process, it will sometimes swing your economy and trades up and down, leading to the player often wondering what it's doing and why. Oftentimes, it can be correct in the long term, but lead to short-term income shortages. They'll continue to monitor the feedback around the topic, since regardless of the system's function, it's frustrating from the player's point of view. It's worth looking into adjustments to help compensate. I think what bugs most people bugs me, right? Okay, given an example of a game that I recently played. I was testing the country Frisian Freedom. The Frisian country, north of the Netherlands, north of Holland, testing them out. And at the start of the game, I was like, damn, they've really made trade functional. The automated trade is doing good work. I think I was making something like 8 ducats from trade at the start of the game. My total income was about 16 ducats, so we had roughly equal numbers. Fast forward 5 years, I've not really done any wars. I've not really done anything other than trying to build my economy. Maybe I built some market centers. I don't remember exactly. But my trade income dropped to below a ducat. And this wasn't a case of, oh yeah, the first month is always going to be there and then it's going to drop down. No, this was just a slow decline of trade just stopped being profitable. And I don't know if that's the system they want to have, right? Bearing in mind, my Frisian Freedom was a merchant republic as well. So it just doesn't feel good. And especially when you are paying upkeep on your marketplaces that you build, and then your total trade income, the money you see in your economy tab from trade, is lower than the maintenance of the buildings you use to get the trade value. It feels really naff. And I don't vibe with it. Honestly, I think there's some misstep somewhere, something's gone wrong, and trade is just not that fun. And honestly, I don't know where it needs to go to make it go right, but it's just not there at the moment. All right, so what is next? Now that 1.3 beta is coming to a close, they're setting more resources on update 1.4. Before 1.4 comes, though, they can still expect a patch or two in 1.3 soon. Later this month, they're going to share a vision for update 1.4, what they're planning, what's changed since they last spoke about it, and share a forecast for what Tinto talks are coming when. The Grand Voyage roadmap is also in need of updating, so we'll keep our eyes peeled for that one as well. Once they've established the vision, they'll dive straight into the meat and potatoes of what's coming in the free update. They mentioned potatoes. It's going to include South America, clearly. No. Once that's concluded, at which point 1.4 will go into open beta testing, they can start talking about the Across the Pillars DLC, the first Chronicle pack which focuses on Morocco, Castile, and Granada. Both of these they're super excited to share. Many devs at the studio have expressed that they have a hard time going back to 1.3 after playing single-player 1.4. Okay. Like, that's good, but there's a lot of like a community goodwill and trust that is I feel, judging by Reddit, by the forums, by my own comments, that's lacking at the moment for us to just believe that. Like, I'm not calling you a liar, I argue, not even a little bit, right? I do believe you in this, but I'm just saying that there is, I don't know, it does feel a little hollow in a way. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, I don't know. That's all for now, though. There is the video that you can go watch. I'll put a link to that as well in the description if that is something you are interested in. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I do see and read my comments, and I have noticed that people are unhappy, and I don't blame you guys. There's a lot about the game that I really like, and there's a lot about the game that I'm really dissatisfied with. So yeah, I still hope for the best. I hope this game can turn it around and become, you know, fulfill the potential of it, you know. So we'll keep hoping for that. Let me know about my microphone as well. If you think it's better, if you think it's worse, if you think it's just the same, we'll see. Yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.